Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the African Reform Movement channel, where we discuss everything African reform with an emphasis on Ghana. As always, my name is Uche, and we'll be joined shortly by Dr. Nii. Just position himself. He'll be with us very, very shortly. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Excuse me. For those of you who are new, Dr. Nii can be reached on a number of social media platforms. Those are all of his handles there. All of this information is in the description box on his YouTube channel. So please don't worry if you don't get all of this down now. You will be able to locate all this information underneath this particular broadcast. Dr. Nii has also written a number of books. Weep Not Africa, The Fifth Republic. He's mentioned a few of them in his broadcasts. They can be purchased at his Book Nook store right here. Okay. Again, this is also in the description box of his YouTube channel underneath this broadcast. We like to encourage everybody to participate in the questions. When he's speaking, if there's anything you're not sure of, anything you want further clarification on, please feel free to immediately post it into the chat box. And when it's time for Q&A, I'll make sure I bring that question up so he can answer you, okay? But please do post your questions. Don't feel shy. Don't feel your questions too simplistic. Please post it. What he wants to hear from everybody, okay? So, Dr. Nii is not quite situated just yet. Not quite yet. So just to get things going, for those of you who are new, or those of you who are online, just drop me a message saying where you are watching this from. I can see there's 2 people online now. Just let me know where you're watching from. Ooh, still not quite settled yet. Okay, let's see. Think. Hi, Dr. Nii.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm ready to go. Oh, it's crazy. Oh, I can.
Okay.
Oh.
Say something now.
Mike. Okay.
No, can't hear.
Can you hear me?
It's very faint.
Can you?
Very faint.
Oh, this is fine. Let me see whether the volume is not on.
Okay, good morning, Emmanuel from the US.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
I can see you,
but
I can't hear you. It's very faint.
Can you hear me?
No, it's very faint.
All right. Let me use the laptop then.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's true.
I was hoping that.
Yes. Dr. Nii, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, good. Then I don't need a laptop. All right, beautiful. Good.
Perfect.
So let's go.
Welcome, Kenneth. Welcome, Emmanuel. Dr. Nii, okay, if just like bring it so we can see more of your head. We can't see enough of your head.
Okay, all right.
That's better, yeah.
All right, so now we can start.
We can start.
Yeah.
Okay, I've done the introduction, Dr. Nii, so over to you.
Thank you very much, Uche. Yeah, I'm all over the place now. I'm in the hospital, a bit busy, but I'll try and still at least 30 minutes to go through this very important topic. Okay. Governance, economy, and delivery, the GED Trinity. Governance, the Father, economy, the Son, and delivery, the Holy Spirit. Amen. We're going to go through this as brief and as what do I call it? Anyway, so let's start with the first slide. Governance, economy, and delivery, the GED Trinity. Obama, in his speech in Accra, I think the 9th of July 2009, he said something. He said that he talked about the promise, and this is the promise that is awaiting us. This is a promise that we have to get, we have to receive. Then he went on to say that, but do not make any mistake. Good governance or development depends on good governance. And this is a single factor which has been missing in too many places for so long. And this is the key that will unlock Africa's potential. And this responsibility can only be met by Africans. Then he said, this is a promise, and the promise is the delivery. But this delivery can only be done through good governance, because that's what brings development. Then he went on to say that, so I call mine GED, and I call mine's GDP, governance, development, and the promise. And it did not end there. He said that if we can do this, then in this century, it is not only things that are said in Moscow or Washington or Rome or London that will matter, but things that will be spoken from Accra to will matter. So he came there to give us a promise, a prophecy, that if we can get our acts together, Accra will matter as much as London matters in this century. And the responsibility to do that is ours. GED, governance, economy, can deliver. And Accra will be the spokesperson for Africa. Everybody say amen. Next slide. So today, we are not talking about the governance, which I was speaking about in many ways and many times. We're talking about the economy. And the economy, there are 5 aspects that I will focus on from now on to election 2024. Job creation, tax reforms, funds mobilization, debt and deficit fixation, and currency stability. Today, we are starting with job creation. Next slide. The first 3, job creation, tax reforms, and funds mobilization, will fix the 2 problems we have, debt and deficit and currency stabilization. So we'll pump the 3 in order to fix the bad 2. Okay? Now, jobs, where are they? A lot of people have been making noise. We will create jobs, we'll do this and that and that. How are you going to create jobs? Where are the jobs? There are 4 areas here. Small, medium enterprises, SME, is that the place where the jobs are? We'll know very soon. Large enterprises, is that the place where jobs are? Private sector, is that the place jobs are? Or public sector, is that the place jobs are? I have chosen SME and private. I have chosen small, medium enterprises and private sector. This is where the jobs are, okay? Now, when people talk about state farms and state factories, they are completely lost, okay? If people are expecting that in today's world, state farms built by Nkrumah, which were running at a loss even when he was alive, are the ones or are the things that are supposed to give us jobs in Ghana, then they don't know the world we live in, okay? They should be able to get me 2 countries which are operating that kind of economy or state factories. I want to know 2 countries, okay? We just have to know what's going on, all right? We are in 2022, and let's see how we create jobs. Next slide. Examples. I'm giving 3 examples here, which I call the A. Australia A, Israel I, and Malaysia M. These are very important countries because I live in Australia. Israel was created 10 years before Ghana had independence, and Malaysia had independence with Ghana the same year, 1957. So we look at them and see where their jobs are. I can tell you in Australia, 99.8% of jobs are in SME, small, medium enterprises. 99.8 of jobs are in SME, only 0.2 are in large enterprises. In Israel, 99.5 are in SMEs and only 0.05 are in large enterprises. And Malaysia, 98.5 are in SMEs and only 0.5 are in large enterprises. Now, when you go to OECD, their website, you'll find all the information there in details. You can read for yourself to familiarize yourself with how the world works. Okay, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? And I've told you where the jobs are. The jobs are in SMEs private. SMEs, you can see in Australia, 99.8. Only 0.2% of all jobs are in large enterprises. Okay? Now, next slide. We'll know what constitutes SMEs. I'm using Israel as an example. You can find all the information on all important countries in the world on OECD website. I've given you the address. You can go there, learn for yourself. When we say so in Israel, self-employed people, they make up 51.3% of all businesses. 51.3% of all businesses are self-employed. More than half of all businesses in Israel are self-employed. Micro means that the business employs 1 to 4 people. And that's 33.4. That's 1/3 of all businesses employ 1 to 4 people. And then we have small business. That is 5 to 19. And that is 11.7%. So between self-employed and small business, we are having over 96% of all employees. Over 96% of all, in fact, over 96%, 96.4% of all employees are between self-employed to small business. And then we have medium, that is from 20 to 99 employees. That's medium, and that's 3.1%. And large, 100 or more employees, that is only 0.5%. So where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? The jobs are in small, micro, self-employed, micro, and small businesses. Even medium is just 3.1. Where are the jobs? Between self-employed and micro, we are having 85%. 85% of all employees in Israel are between self-employed and micro. And that's what brings us to Ghana. In Ghana, this is the women area. This self-employed and micro, 85% of all employees in Israel, when it comes to Ghana, this is heavily controlled by women. Like I told you the other time, when you go to Sunite markets, that is almost 99.9% controlled by women. When you go to Makola, when you go to almost all self-employed and micro and small business, 96.4% or 99.5% are heavily controlled by women. So where are the jobs? If you want to create jobs, are you going to invest in the one that employs or that makes up only 0.5%, or the one that makes up 99.5% in Israel, or 99.8% in Australia, or 98.5% in Malaysia, which started the independence journey with us? Next slide, please. Job creation. We're talking about job creation. So it's clear that so far as Ghana is concerned, women are the center of job creation, because self-employed, I was raised by one of them. My grandmother was self-employed. Well, we can say probably she was micro, because I was an unofficial employee of her. I used to do the business with her. So probably we were two in the business, herself and myself. So she falls in micro. That's 1 to 4 employees. And that's what happened across the whole of Makola. That's where, if you want to talk about employment, job creation, that's what you look at. That's where you look for. The fishermen, the market women, the small farmers, and you have to see how you are going to turn them into the engine of the economy. You have to look at, because, like I've told you, in Israel, they form 99.5%. In Australia, 99.8%. In Malaysia, 98.5%. In Ghana, what percentage? Do we even know? We don't know. You are not going to think of state farms and state factories as the center or as the engine of your economy. That's what you find in OECD countries. The 32 most advanced countries. That's what you find there. So if you want to be one of them, you have to act like one of them. For me, I know how that works because I was raised by one. I could just imagine what my grandmother would have done if she had gone to school and if she had known what to do, like an Israeli woman would know, or like an Australian woman would know, or like Malaysian woman would know. She could move from employing one person to employing 4 people or 5 people. These are the areas we have to look for. I mean, I watch Nimwe Thompson. I watch him speak with Bernard Avile. I think on the 28th of February or so, 27th of February, thereabouts, because they mentioned about the Nkrumah's overthrow. And I appreciate, I mean, when I listened to him, I appreciated his humility, you know, the way he spoke about the economy, what they tried to do through the National Development Corporation or whatever, National Development and Planning Committee or something, which he was the head. And I appreciated the way he tried to help his country. But they got a point wrong. I'm telling you. You are not going to plan the future of Ghana without talking about small business. You can't. Because of all the countries you know that have progressed to the level of being member of the OECD, the economy is driven by small business. And these are the figures. You can go to that website and check everything and how their finances are done and stuff like that. Read for yourself. Don't believe everything I tell you. Go to the website and read for yourself. Then you know what moves the economy. The engine of the economy is small business. Any other plan that ignores the role of small business is going to fail. And I'll tell you why. We are going to have a minister for digital economy, small business, and deregulation. Now, those who have read my manifesto, With No Africa, which I wrote 2016. I'm not talking about today. Okay, the book is there. Go and read and see what I said about what the Minister for Digital Economy, Small Business, and Deregulation will do. Now, I hear your vice president going around talking about digitalization. It's too late. I talked about it way back in 2016. Actually, I put it in the book, but I've written about it several years before. We need to have a minister who will be responsible for the digital economy, small business, and deregulation, because that's what will do the trick. That's where the power of the economy is going to be. And anybody who doesn't understand that is not fit. I mean, I watch a speech by Professor Kwesi. I also like his humility. I would say probably he's the father of our modern economy. About 15 years as Minister of Finance, he made a very different economy. He tried his best. He was I think, Director General for the National Development and Planning Development Committee or Commission, whatever. I listened to him, I watched him, and I saw the reason why we are struggling. Look, he did his best. Okay, I didn't say it's a generational problem, but you are not going to plan the development of Ghana outside small business. You can't, because small business is the engine of the economy. All OECD countries, go back to that website and read for yourself. Then you know exactly what I'm saying. It's not state farms, not state factories, private, small, self-employed, micro businesses, and small businesses. These ones for Israel consist 96% of all businesses. You are able to secure that and you are done. You major on the majors and minor on the minors. Okay, that's the way to go. You're not going to ignore these other ones, but your policy and your focus should be on 96%, not on 0.05%. Okay, so why am I saying this? And you see the importance of what I'm trying to say about job creation. Wealth of Nation, according to a groundbreaking research were done by the, I think, Environmental Economics Unit of the World Bank. They say that for the developed countries, the wealth of the nations, or developed nations, only 3% are in natural wealth, which is oil, gold, minerals, and those things. That is natural. Nobody actually makes them. They are already there. Only 3%. There's 70% from produce wealth. That's industries, big industries and stuff like that, infrastructure, road network, and whatever. They make up 70% of the wealth. And then they said that the remaining, which they put together as intangible wealth, is made up of rule of law. Rule of law make up 45.6% of the wealth of developed nations. And then the next one is education, 28.8. So rule of law and education alone make up 74.4. That is 3/4 of the wealth of developed nations. That's why Switzerland, they have no minerals, they have no oil, but they are the wealthiest nation because rule of law there is 99.5%. So when you say thy kingdom, how do you say it? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. Thy kingdom come, the kingdom that I want, the kingdom of heaven that I want to come is already here in Switzerland. 99.5% rule of law. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's happening right here. If you can get 99.5% rule of law in your country, you'll be the wealthiest nation in the world. Rule of law. And that is why, for some of us, it worries us when the judiciary makes judgment that may be perceived as politically biased. It doesn't matter which government is in power. When we believe that the executive is intruding into the space of the judiciary and making the judiciary make past judgment that may be perceived to be politically biased, we know that the judiciary is depleting our tangible wealth. The judiciary is making us poorer. It doesn't matter whether it's Nkrumah who sacked the Chief Justice so that and empaneled a new bench to get a ruling that he wanted, or whether it was Buzia who said no court would tell him what to do, or whether it was Kufuor who passed the Supreme Court to get a judgment that he wanted, or whether it's John Mahama who undermined the Supreme Court by overturning the addition in Free Muntie 3, or whether it's Akufo-Addo who has superseded the Supreme Court to get unanimous decisions. These people are all making us poorer. It doesn't matter what they say. But the study shows that the wealth of a nation, 45.6% of the wealth of a nation is in rule of law. When there is justice in a place, it brings wealth. When justice is viewed or perceived as lacking, it brings poverty. You are not going to have a developmental plan which ignores the rule of law. You're not going to do that. And it is part of good governance. And that's why development depends on good governance. So now, before we talk about job creation, before we talk about development, before we talk about wealth creation, we have to know that almost half of it will come from rule of law, effective government, independent judiciary, property rights, personal security. These are the things that make up rule of law. And these are the things that make small business thrive. We are not going to make, all the development plans they are talking about based on our natural resources, and I overheard John Mahama being interviewed by Kwesi Pratt saying that, they found 2 new oil wells and they left 2 new oil wells for the NPP government, Akufo-Addo and the rest, all these things, and the infrastructure he's talking about, all of them make up only 20%, 3 plus 7% of the wealth of the nation. What makes the bulk, 3/4, is rule of law and education. Rule of law and education. You can build all the things you want. If you undermine the Supreme Court, you're making the country poorer. You have to understand that. Now, so the education. So how are we going to make small business the engine of the economy? like it is in Australia, in Israel, and in Malaysia. These are 3 countries in 3 different continents. What are you going to do? You know, people think that you can just get up and come and make a promise. Oh, we're going to create jobs. How do you do that? Where are the jobs? The jobs are in small business. So if you want to create jobs, then you've got to augment the efficiency and the effectiveness of small business. I've written about this in my book, With North Africa, how to move from here to there. And in my next book, which is going to be a second version or second edition of my manifesto, which I call Ghana Must Be Born Again, I'll go into details and even add more information how to move from an underdeveloped nation to a developed nation. That's a topic, that's the title, Ghana Must Be Born Again, from an underdeveloped to a developed nation. That's the People's Manifesto for 2024. And you see these things there even better clarified. Next slide, please. So now we know that if education is for empowerment, and Dr. Agri of Africa said that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation. It means one thing. If you empower a man, you've empowered an individual. But if you empower a woman, you've empowered the whole nation. And we know that women make up the majority of self-employed and micro and small business. The 96% of Israel in Ghana, probably women form 90% of that 96%. And that's why if you empower a woman, you empower the whole nation. Agri the prophet saw what I'm talking to you about. So now, if you are going to do that, and you're going to make small business, the engine of the economy, there are steps you have to take. You've got to go through the whole system. An empowered woman is an empowered nation because they form the bulk of self-employed, micro, and small business, which in Israel, America, Australia, or Malaysia form more than 95% of SMEs. The bulk, overwhelming majority. In Ghana, it is women. In Australia, it is men. In Israel, it is men. In Malaysia, I don't know, but I know in Australia, it is men. In Israel, that's why women are fighting for equal participation.
Sorry, Dr. Nii, you're breaking up a bit. Dr. Nii?
In the economy.
Dr. Nii?
In Ghana, it is owned by women. So women don't have to fight for equal participation. They overwhelmingly own that space. What they need is government to formalize it and to make it part of the engine of growth. And that's why we need the minister, or how to get a minister for digital economy, small business, and deregulation. Because then we are going to capture these women who form the bulk of our SMEs and make it as important as SMEs are in Australia.
Oh, sorry, everybody. We seem to have lost Dr. Nii. Just bear with me 1 second while we'll see if we can get him back.
Very literate, but through the small business advisory board, which we have in every district, mind you, and the ECOFEN, we have 55 districts in Ghana.
Sorry, Dr. Nii, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you got cut off there.
Oh, sorry.
You're off air for a few seconds.
I'm saying
so could you repeat the last?
I'm saying that, okay, and
It's okay, frozen.
Woman is equal to an empowered nation. So how do we empower women? And I'm saying for the generation, we have to change the school syllabus at the local level. We change the school syllabus bring small business in as a subject instead of commerce.
So just bear with me everyone whilst I try and get Dr. Nii's connection back. Sometimes hospital connections aren't the greatest. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure Dr. Nii did everything he can to get back online. I've just sent him a message saying he's got cut off. Okay, he's here.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, yeah, sorry, Dr. Nii, for that whole last slide, it was breaking up quite bad. You got cut off a couple of times, that whole last slide.
Okay, so I've got to go back.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are talking of job creation, and we are saying that self-employed, micro employees or employers, and small business employers, they form about 96% or actually 95% in Australia, Israel, and Malaysia. Okay. Now, in these three, at least in Australia and Israel, I know that this is heavily controlled by men. But fortunately for us in Ghana, this area, 95, 96%, is heavily controlled by women. And that is the engine of the economy in these three countries I've mentioned. Okay. Now, if you want to be like them, then you must be able to empower those who are the operators of self-employees, micro businesses and small businesses, you have to empower the operators to be at the level in Australia, Israel, and Malaysia, because this is the engine of those economies. Now, like I said before, Agri said, when you empower a man, you've empowered one person. But when you empower a woman, you have empowered a whole nation. And this is what it means. In our system, women control the SME economy, the small, medium enterprise economy. Women control it. So it's very important we empower them, let them be efficient and effective in their work, because that's where the jobs are if you properly empower them. If you properly empower them, that is where the jobs are. The jobs are not in large factories. The jobs are not in large state farms or state factories. No, before we got independence, small scale farmers in Ghana, we had the example. Small scale farmers in Ghana, 55 million people population with small scale farmers produce 50% of world cocoa. It's never happened anywhere before. So we already had the example there. Before Makala was demolished, Makala controlled the economy of Ghana. But they were all small, self-employed, and employees. And they control. So we have the template there already. The problem is that they are not empowered properly through education. Like I said before, proper education is 28.8% of the wealth of a nation. And rule of law is 45.6% of the wealth of the nation. So moving forward, to have 75%, almost 3/4 of your wealth in rule of law and education means that the path is already clear for us. Rule of law, independent judiciary, and education. 75%, 3/4 of our wealth. And I'm saying that to change the system now, we have to do it at 3 levels. At the local level in schools, we change school curriculum, syllabus, to include a subject called small business instead of CAMES. CAMES is based on the European model. We have to write our own subjects, small business, right up to SHS. Commercial schools, when you go there, girls who won't believe that they want to go into small business, going to sell in Mokala or do whatever, they will learn that subject and they will be equipped, empowered to do it as it is done in Australia, in Israel, and in Malaysia. If they do that, then we know that we've created avenues for employment growth. Those are areas where jobs are. They from 96% of employees. Then the next level is districts, okay? From the local level school to district. We have to have structures there to help these people operating in this. And they're going to hold weekly whatever, teaching our largely illiterate or semi-literate women who operate in this space, Israel and Malaysia. And thirdly, this is the ECOFE, the states. We're going to have chambers of each state that will oversee, will have their quarterly meetings or whatever, overseeing any small business, 95 employees, percent employees operate and how they are progressing to becoming the Israel and Malaysia. Job creation is not rhetoric. It's not sloganeering. You got to have a strategy in place to make sure that it works. We know where the jobs are. Now, the challenge is to transform that sector into what it is in the OECD countries, where 95% of all employers are up to the level of those who employ up to 19. Self-employees, that is 1. Micro, that is those who employ from 1 to 4. They're from 85%. 85%. Right? Or employ up to 4 people. 85% of all employees. And then you have small, that is from 5 to 19. They come with 11.7. Add it to that. Add it to that. And you're already in 96. If you can fix this area through changing school curriculum, through district advisory, small business advisory board, and through state-based chamber for commerce and industry, state factories, not through 40-year development plan. I think that's the last slide. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me, Dr. Nii? Hello? Dr. Nii, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Is that the last slide?
This is the last slide.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So here we bring we bring this discussion to an end here. The key is to empower our women because they control the self-employees, the micro businesses, and the small business. They control overwhelmingly. Now, when we empower them, we empower the nation. That's what Agri said 100 years ago. And now the World Bank has confirmed that empowerment of women is the strongest indication of an economy moving in the right direction.
Okay. So thank you for pressing on with that, Dr. Nii. Just had a few technical difficulties, but I'm glad it worked out.
Today connection is bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just get straight into the questions. Okay. So here, Shika said, so basically we need to enhance and build on skills and abilities we already have, exploit our competitive advantages.
Yes. And that centers on the woman because we have all these self-employees, micro businesses, and small businesses. In advanced countries, they form at least 95% of the economic space. So we have to make them more efficient. We have to empower them through education. We can do that in the schools. You can do that at the district level, and we can augment that at the state level under economic federalism. The present structure we have is impossible. The subjects you study in school mean nothing. They don't empower one single girl. When she leaves school to decide to go into small business, she hasn't learned any skills that will make her compete with her counterparts in Australia, in Israel, or in Malaysia.
Okay. Next question is from Charles, or next statement from Charles. Right, question, I don't want to butcher the surname. Was the board's chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. That's what I want. Yeah, National Development Planning Commission. That's right. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I listened to him, and like I said, I appreciated his humility because he understands the enormity of the problem we are facing. He wasn't talking the hubris that you hear from Bawumia or Akufo-Addo or what they know that guy, King, but they don't know anything. But you see, when you listen to him, you realize that Kwesiboche is still playing the analog economic structure. What we need is to define where the jobs are. And the information is clearly there in the advanced where the jobs are, and try and build up that area. You know, when they talk about, we have oil, we have this. Switzerland doesn't have oil. Switzerland doesn't have gold. Switzerland doesn't have cocoa. Israel doesn't have oil. It doesn't have gold. It doesn't have cocoa. But they understand what drives the economy. So for me, we don't need 40 years for that. Lee Kuan Yew took Singapore from a third world to a first world in 35 years. Without cocoa, without gold, without oil, without anything. So if we have that, then it should take us half the time if we understand what it means to move from the third world to a first world. And I'm saying is based on rule of law and education, 75% of that. And that should be the focus. And we know why education matters in our case, because those who operate the small business space, they are largely illiterate. Empower them with the skills so they can compete with their counterparts in these first world countries, in these OECD countries. That's the way forward. That's the way forward.
Let's hear from Shika. In fact, there's been a boom in small and micro businesses over the past couple of years, thanks mostly to COVID. A fund for micro and small business development will really help expand these businesses.
That is true. When you go to OECD site, you read from there financing these in businesses. I can talk about
You're breaking up, Dr. Nii. Dr. Nii, you're breaking up. Dr. Nii, can you hear me? Okay. I think
that I'm on coin also. I don't have time for that. But go to the site and you read and you find, the line is not great today.
No.
No.
Okay.
So we got to first of all define where the jobs are, and then we decide how we're going to augment those places to level of Australia, Israel, and Malaysia.
Okay. Oh dear. Yeah, Dr. Nii, the line your side is problematic. So I'm just going to put up the next question. Okay. Okay. So hopefully when you come back, you'll be able to answer it. Charles has said, "I love that point on justice and rule of law. It's even more funny when the only cases that get quick resolution are political cases, while enterprises spend years in court looking for justice." Still struggling a bit there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I got a call from the hospital. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Charles, I agree with you. You see, it's very critical, but unfortunately, we don't understand that 45.6% of the wealth of nation is in rule of law. So we keep undermining the rule of law, thinking that we are showing political power, but we are actually depleting our intangible wealth. To go forward, as part of good governance, we need independent judiciary so that cases involving small businesses will be expedited like this. There will be confidence in the system and they will move forward. It is amazing what you are doing to our country. It's amazing what you are doing to our country. And it didn't start today. It's the part of the political culture that we developed from independence. That every president believes that he has the right to interfere with the judiciary, not knowing that he's actually depleting our intangible world. Look at where we are today. Our tangible world, we've depleted everything. We are now in debt to the tune of 370 billion cedis. Now we move on to depleting the intangible world too. What exactly do we want as a nation?
Okay. So here's another one here. Is a 99.8% of the SME in Australia only referring to private jobs, or it includes the government jobs as well?
No, because government actually don't operate small businesses.
Okay. Then he's got a follow-up point to that. He says, if it excludes the government sector, what will be the ratio between the private sector and the government sector in Australia? We don't know that if Ghana, we don't know that I think I should be in Ghana, but that can help appreciate your points.
Okay. I can tell you that in Australia, government mainly employs or government employees work in ministries. So those are large, those are more than 100 employees, okay? And government employs people in hospitals. Those are again large employees. So government employees generally work in large enterprises. The 99.8 is overwhelmingly private. Okay. Now, when you step out of, I'm in the hospital, right? When I step out of the hospital, everything I see on the street is private. From McDonald's to pizza to fuel stations to Aldi to Woolworths, all the things you see in town, apart from the hospital and the police stations, they have a small business. So 99.8, I would say it's overwhelmingly private.
All right, so Henry says, Dr. Nii, laudable idea. I believe and trust that the ARM should focus a lot in the agric sector and regulation. God gave our country enormous resources as such. And he's beautiful when he says, should the chance come, the ARM should also consider the agric sector and regulation in all sectors.
Yeah, thanks very much. Henry is one of my very close friends from childhood. Yeah, he's a big engineer, right? He's one of our directors in the country at the moment. Very close. Our grandmothers were very close friends too. So very close guy. Together with Eric Engman, we are also boys. Yeah, we are also boys. Eric Engman is a geodetic engineer. Henry is an electrical engineer. Went to the same schools throughout. Yeah, very close friends. Now, Palu too, agric is very important. If you realize that one of the core areas is under the ECOFAS system is agriculture and industries. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis on agric because agric, like I said before, Ghana before independence, small scale farmers produce 50% of world cocoa. So we have the template there already. We don't need, mechanized farming, fair enough, but we have done it before. Nobody has done that anywhere in the world to produce 50% of agricultural produce, but we did it in Ghana from illiterate small scale farmers. Now imagine if these small scale farmers are literate. And that's the point. So we go there, we empower them with proper education. In Australia here, we have in vitro fertilization on dairy farms. They decide what kind of cattle they want for their dairy farms. On the farms. They do in vitro on our farms. How many people do they employ? 5, 10 people. They're all small businesses. So yes, we'll bring a revolution in education. Thank you very much, Paulo, too. Yes, very important.
She said, last week I saw a post of a Kayo load bearer lady who could eloquently recite the national pledge. While it was impressive, it was sad that the little education she had did not propel her to a better future. Clearly, the education system is failing.
Yeah, it is failing. It hasn't failed already. And we seriously need to do something about that. Mm-hmm. Proper curriculum. Mm-hmm. That answers our problems. Proper curriculum that is tailored to our difficulties. So that, you see, Eric Engman, right? Eric Engman, the mother and my grandmother were together at Makola. They both were retailers of wax print. So he was also brought up by a small business owner. His mother, sorry. All right, so you understand what I'm saying? Henry Luttrot was brought up by his grandmother just like me, Auntie Adole. And do you know what she did? She was just an ordinary kenke seller. Ordinary kenke seller. She took her grandson to university. So I know what Auntie Adole could have done if she was educated. So that if any of her grandchildren or great-grandchildren want to do the job of their great-grandmother with education, she will do more than what Auntie Adole did for Henry, my friend. We have the space there. All over. Mm-hmm. If you empower one woman, you've empowered the nation. I'm talking of illiterates who took their children to university with little government support. So I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, the last two are from Eric. The youth of today is running away from farming, which has been a backbone of our economy. I suspect it is because of the peasant nature and hard work it involves. What do you think can be done to attract the youth back into farming?
We have to add value to agriculture. You have to add value to agriculture. You know, the lure of easy life in the city and the very foundation of our country being a unitary state where Accra equals to Ghana is part of the problem. Once we break down and we have an eco-fed system running, brother, things will change because people will know that they don't have to run to Accra for livelihood. And then when they have a commission in their own state for agriculture and industries, where they are saying that, oh, now we are producing a lot of orange here, the orange is now being used to make orange juice in our backyard, and we export the orange juice, or we use it. You know, you got to create a system for people to believe that it can work. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they'll follow the mirage and go to Accra and be destitute there and become armed robbers or prostitutes. We don't want that. We want to reverse that by start with a well laid out plan and time frames. Mm-hmm. And executive power. That executive power cannot come from the president in the remote country, in the remote Accra. It's got to come from the premier of a state and the ECOFED. We need a structure. Good governance. Development depends on good governance. Good governance depends on good constitution, good system of government, good constitution, and leadership. We need to go through these things. It's not going to come by magic. We need structural reforms that will make these things work and let it happen. Mm-hmm. So all these things is going to be from continuous advocacy. Talking about it, telling them how it's going to work, and showing them how it works in other places. Like I gave the examples of Australia, Israel, Malaysia. If you go to OECD side, you can really see, you know, I can't do all in this. I can do a part 2 next week if that's the general consensus. So I will go deeper into how it's going to work out under my system of economic federalism.
Okay. Well, Dr. Nii, thank you for all that. Those are all the questions that we have. There've been some quite good questions there, actually. So thank you, everybody who was watching. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for your participation and what you've brought to the broadcast today. Dr. Nii, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and sit with us and bring us this very important topic. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thanks for your patience with the breakdown of the communication. This is what happens when you're in the hospital with so many interferences from machines and stuff like that. It's going to be better next week. Thank you very much. And God bless you all. And God bless our motherland, Ghana.
Yes. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again at same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah.